The show went ahead without major mishap, despite a sprinkling of rain and the odd hiccup with the lights. Police estimated that 3.5 million people across the city watched the laser extravaganza.
One of the key of the project was to show to the Russian youth these days that all their fantasies, their dreams about us, about the West, about America, about Europe, in terms of designs, graphics, and all the look and the Western style, has been generated most of the time by themselves, by their country, through futurism, through constructivists. And suddenly to project this in the facades, on the facades of the Russian university, was for them a kind of shock, but in a very modern way, with a kind of internet look, in a sense. Suddenly created a kind of shock, and I must say that the response of the audience has been absolutely amazing.
But not everyone's been won over by the visual pyrotechnics. Some critics have dismissed your work as being all spectacle and no substance. Does that concern you?
I would say at least that these people could share one night one of these concerts, and they maybe probably change. If they still think this, it's okay. But you know, most of the time these critics are funded or on something people don't know. I mean, first of all, it's like people who don't like certain movie makers, or I mean, preconceived ideas are the worst, the worst attitude.
At the Moscow concert, he performed tracks from his latest album, entitled Oxygen 7 to 13. Parts 1 to 6 were recorded 20 years earlier on the original Oxygen album.
For me, this continuation of Oxygen 7 to 13 is a true. It's not like Rocky 2. It's not just a sequel. It's a real continuation of an old process of composition, and I decided to do also this piece of music to put together these two records in perspective, and it's what is releasing at the moment. I mean, the two records in a box set.
In creating the new album, he ignored all the latest digital technology and returned to the old analog synthesizers of the late 60s.
I feel that there is no sense of necessary of progress in terms of musical instruments. For instance, if you take the Stradivarius, everybody, even now, are still dreaming when you are playing violin to play on a Stradivarius. And it's an instrument that has been done a few centuries ago with know-how that we have lost. And it's the same thing that's going to happen with these first electronic instruments. And it's always interesting to use old technology with internet or with the technology of tomorrow morning.
Je vous nomme ambassadeur de bonne volonté de l'UNESCO, Michel Jarre. Merci beaucoup.
Since 1993, Jarre has worked as a goodwill ambassador for UNESCO, the UN's cultural and educational body. Part of his duties is to stage concerts promoting tolerance around the world.
When I've been asked by UNESCO to work as goodwill ambassador for tolerance, it seemed to me quite appropriate to the kind of work I'm doing also. The fact that I'm doing free concerts outdoor, anywhere in the audience, I mean anywhere in the world. I mean, trying to also, in days where war, crime, violence are the concepts who are making money on cinema, on television, because it's much more dynamic, it's more commercial. I mean, ideas like peace and tolerance are, if not even boring for some people, at least neutral. And it's very difficult to make it, to make these ideals dynamic and exciting and groovy and in a sense.
For more than 20 years, Jarre has kept a family home at Croissy, just north of Paris on the banks of the Seine. But he no longer lives here with his wife Charlotte Rampling. They separated after his name was romantically linked to that of another woman in the popular press. Is divorce on the cards, or are you separated?
No, there is no plan of divorce. I mean, only the fact that life is long, and sometimes, and partly for people like Charlotte and myself, we are very close. We will be always very close. We are very close, and at the moment our lives are a bit separated, but we still have the feeling of complicity and the close feeling of the family spirit. What counts? I mean, the rest is our own business.
They have a teenage son, David, who's now at university.
He's doing music, but also he's doing magic, and today he got a kind of proposal for French television to do some magic, and it's nothing to do with us. He did that entirely on his own. He's a very good magician, and it's also we're talking about chromosomes, maybe another way of expressing magic in a sense.
Jean-Michel Jarre will be 50 this year. He's currently taking a breather in the middle of an ambitious world tour. He plans to play the United States, and he's also hoping to set up a concert in Cuba.
I've always been fascinated by Cuba, by Che Guevara, and by and also Cuban music and Cuban arts, and Cuban artists, and I would be very interested by doing something in Cuba. But after having done China and Russia, I think Cuba is a kind of logical way to America, maybe.